What is up, my people? We are back with another one. And today we're going to do the part two. This one's going to be a little more positive for some people. Some people may not like my list, um, but but it's my list anyways. It's my opinion. But I can't defend all of these, by the way. Um, and so So first, let's move with who I think is the promoter of the year, and the reason for this is because he's making deals with different people, with different promotional companies, and he's trying to make the fights happen with like I said, with different promotional companies. And he's recently struck a big deal, you know, with um, with people that have a lot of money, and they want to spend money to make money, and that is the the way to do it really in business. You want to at the beginning you're not gonna make a lot of income in return, but you do want to invest for the future, and in order for people to see that you're the one that's trying to make the fights happen. um and the guy that I'm talking about, is um, um, Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn, recently he seems to have struck a deal with the Saudis, and making things happen over there. We just saw, you know, one of the best cars I've seen personally this year, which was the Day of Reckoning. And by the way, that's my chair popping. I need to give me a new chair. So if you hear like something pop in the background, it's my chair. But the reason I think I like this guy over most of the others is because most of the other guys that are promoting right now, they have this mentality of I'm not gonna go fight over there with those guys, or I'm not gonna um, fight out. You gotta come to this side of the street to fight with us. That, like, that type of stuff. That is what is making boxing, you know, kind of decline right now because of that mentality. And this guy is just trying to make it happen, with anybody, anywhere, and some of these others seem to be trying to monopolize the boxing world, which I think would be a mistake. It's always better to keep it the way it used to be and try to make it to where different people come together to make the fights happen, and everybody is able to make things happen. And maybe a middleman is needed, you know, and I feel like Eddie Hearn is one of these guys that can make it happen if possible. Now, what we don't want is what's happening in the UFC. I know a lot of people think that what's happening in the UFC is better, that there's only one guy there that's calling the shots. What's gonna happen is, if that happens, is that fighters are gonna get paid less. Um, and I mean, just go and look what's going on with them. It's not good. Um, and we want it the way it is now, right? We want fighters to get paid more money, and that's because boxing is just more popular in general. But if things become monopolized, if everything is under one banner, I think you run the risk of um, of the fighters not having options, and you always want the fighters to have options, and you always want the fighters to make these promoters work for for their for the fighters to want to be with them, if that makes any sense. But anyways, that's who I have personally. Anybody that's doing any other kind of stuff that's not trying to make the fights happen, that is acting uh, weird about making fights happen, I don't want to hear it. Now, for the next category, is breakout fighters for the right reasons. You know, we already talked about the bad reasons, but now somebody who made noise outside of boxing, um, for good reasons. And you know, I was gonna pick either Canelo Alvarez or this guy, Mr. Tyson Fury. And the good thing about Tyson Fury is that he used to be a drug addict. He used to be this guy that was under depression or whatever. And I don't know if that's true or not. There's just the story that's being told out there. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Um, and some people don't believe that, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. But you know, recently he was in the news for supposedly being picked as sexiest athlete alive or whatever, which is, you know, I don't know what to say about that. It is what it is, right? But yeah, I'm personally gonna have to go, you know, ultimately with Canelo Alvarez, because he was in Forbes magazine, and I think that's a big deal, and it's good PR for boxing in general, for the sport in general. So that's my pick for that. And then coming up next, this was gonna be kind of weird. All right, this is who I personally think are the best analyzers and fight callers, in my opinion. In my opinion, Ring IQ is a good analyst. In my opinion, he's not that much of a fight announcer or caller. Meaning he doesn't call the fights. That's not like his thing. His thing is more of the analysis and breakdown of fighters and fights and predictions and stuff like that. Um, and this just goes to show that people, you know, are looking elsewhere for their commentators, or for, you know, trying to see what the uh, people talking about the fights, you know, instead of looking for professionals. And the reason for that is because they see in a lot of these quote unquote professional commentators that they're very biased, you know, either for their countrymen, either for people that are, you know, from their company, right, or whatever it may be. But when it comes to these guys, you know, they seem to be more unbiased. They seem to be more, you know, balanced. And the reason for that is because I believe they're not working for any company. You know, they're not working with ESPN. They don't have to support their ESPN fighters or anything like that. But if I was to pick two people, you know, one an analyst and another one more of an entertainer slash fight caller, Showbiz would be like the someone to hear them calling the fights. You know, like, oh, he hit some with the left, he hit some with the right, type stuff. And then Ring IQ would be like kind of like your, like, hello Jim, you know, like that guy, or what was it? Okay Jim, I think it was. That's what he used to say. Um, I forgot his name, but yeah, these two guys here, man. On a more serious note, um, let's get to talking about who I think is trainer of the year, and that is Bill Haney. And Bill Haney, you know, the reason I think he's trainer of the year because he is, you know, kind of like a triple threat. Is it triple threat? Yeah, he's a triple threat because he's a father to his son. All right, he is a trainer, and he is also a promoter, in my opinion. He's out there, you know, causing noise, right, and and putting his son's name out there, you know, and he does very good. He's very good at doing that, you know, and he's also a very good strategist. If you notice, he appears in places where he knows that he's going to be seen the most, um, you know, and he's hyping up his son to get the bigger fights. Um, so this guy's very smart, right? So he's a what is that, for a triple threat or something like that. So yeah, that's mine for fighter of the year. I mean, for trainer of the year. Now moving on to prospect of the year, I'm gonna go with Cruz. You know, even though there's probably guys that are probably better who have made more of an impact. At short notice, I'm gonna go with Andy Cruz. And the reason I'm gonna go with Andy Cruz is because I've been following him for a while now. He is a Cuban fighter, so most of the fights that I've seen from him have been in the amateurs. Um, and I really like the way he fights. He is a pure boxer, but he's very entertaining. He's more like a pot shot type guy. Um, and and he throws a lot of punches. He's not one of these old school Cuban fighters that just stand around and move around a lot. This is like the new breed, what I like to call the new breed of of Cuban fighters that are a lot more aggressive and a lot more punch oriented. Um, and that's good that they're evolving in that way, because for a long time, a lot of them that did try to make it professionally weren't very successful for the most part. Um, of course, there's excuses that I don't want to go into right now, but the main excuse is that supposedly there's a wall between Cuba and the U.S., right? And this is the reason why they haven't taken over the sport. And I mean, you could believe that if you want, but I know plenty of Cubans, and I guess the wall isn't working that well if there's that many Cubans in Florida and in Texas and all throughout the South. I'm just saying, you know. Moving on to the next, I was gonna call this one the upset, but the upset of the year. But I think I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna go with Wilder versus Wilder versus Parker. And the reason for that is because Wilder versus Parker was an actual upset in the sense that this card, which was dubbed the Day of Reckoning, right? The main reason for this Day of Reckoning event was to promote and tease an upcoming possible fight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. And I mean, even in the posters, the two main faces that you saw were them two. And if you know anything about how the Saudis work, they are going to invest money in things, right? But they're gonna want to. It's a reason for it, right? They want something out of it, and I'm thinking the main thing they want out of it, of course, is money, but they also want the fights and the fights to be made. And the main fight that they were trying to get made was this fight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. So that's why the posters looked the way they did, and that's why they were being promoted in that way, because this was a preparation for that. And some people were saying that, oh, Wilder wasn't gonna let it happen, or vice versa. Some people that like Wilder were saying that Anthony Joshua was gonna run or whatever, or that he was gonna lose the fight on purpose. It wouldn't have mattered anyways, because whether if they both would have won their respective matches, um, the fight would have been forced to happen. That's what I believe. Now, um, now that this happened, it's literally an upset, because that means now we're not gonna get that fight. So, and that was part of the reason why I was picking Wilder to win, mainly because I wanted him to win so we could see this fight happen between Anthony and Wilder. Um, but anyways, that's my choice for upset of the year. Moving on to knockout of the year. Now, there's others that may be better than this one, right? But in my opinion, this is the knockout of the year because um, um, because it just meant more. There was a lot of drama behind it, right? There was a lot of things going on behind the scenes, right? And in the first fight, most people believe that Rayo Valenzuela won the fight, and Chris had lost the fight. um, and then in the rematch, this happened. He KO'd his opponent. and solidifying, that he had won the first one. But of course, they're still gonna minimize it like they usually do and say that it was just a lucky shot or whatever. Which it's just easier for them to swallow, but they're gonna swallow nonetheless. Pause. Um, but moving on to the fighter of the year, who I think is the fighter of the year, and it's Devin Haney. And listen, the last one and this one, this is gonna hurt a lot of Crawford fans because Crawford fans believe that Crawford should get all of these that I'm just mentioning right now. Crawford should be the best fighter. Crawford should be the best knockout. Crawford should be um, fight of the year. Should be pound for pound king. Should be sexiest man alive. What else? They want to have Crawford's babies. I mean, it's insane out here, bro. So Crawford fans, they're just as annoying as Spence fans and as Wilder fans. And the only thing that makes them a little bit more annoying, in my opinion, is the fact that they're actually supporting a really good fighter. And even me saying that Crawford is a good fighter is an insult to them because they think that I should say he's a great fighter and he's the greatest. Um, but whatever. This is my opinion, and I don't care. But getting back to what I'm talking about here, the best fighter of the year, in my opinion, is definitely Devin Haney, because he had two big fights, and he performed, masterfully in one, and he got the job won in the other one. Now, a lot of people thought that he lost against Lomachenko. I don't believe that he lost. I just think people just don't like Devin Haney for some reason, and the hate for Devin Haney is so much that it blinds them from seeing the actual truth. But that's my pick. Um, Now, some people say that Crawford is, but Crawford only had one fight, and the excuse for Crawford having just one fight is that he has a rematch clause, and that's why he can't fight again. But my thing is, that's not my problem. It sounds like a contractual problem that he made. So I didn't sign the contract, so I gotta do um, what I care about, which is who's best fighter of the year. In my opinion, is Devin Haney. Fight of the year. This one you guys might like. Fight of the year is Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. This was fight of the year because it's one of the most anticipated fights. It came, in my opinion, about 3 or 4 years too late, maybe more than that. But my prediction came about 3 years ago, and I had predicted that Errol Spence was going to win the fight. Of course, I was wrong about that, and Crawford won. But it's not only the anticipation of the fight, but what happened in the fight, was just a masterful performance from Terrence Crawford, and a dominance from his side. Now, since the first bell rung, I knew that he was going to win. Of course, it was by that time I had forgotten about my my pick that I had done 3 years ago. But it's just in 3 years things change a lot, and but my point is, the fight was so overwhelmingly one-sided since the beginning of the fight that it just made me think that maybe Spence was never that good. You know, um, Crawford nullified his jab immediately in the first round. And I'm thinking he knew that was Spence's way of um, starting the fight, and working off everything off the jab. So he immediately got to work on that. He nullified the jab and he came back with hard shots immediately. Um, and it was just over um, immediately. So um, because of that, because of what happened, and because of the shock that it gave me, and I'm pretty sure it gave a lot of people, because even the people that had Spence winning didn't expect him to win by a large margin, and even the people that had Crawford winning didn't expect Crawford to win by a large margin as well. Even though Spence was, you could say that he wasn't the same. You could say that because of the car crash, because of a lot of other things. Um, it still just seemed like technically he would have like, not technically but strategically, yeah, even the styles of the two fighters, it wouldn't have made much difference. Crawford would have still won in my opinion. Um, so that's fight of the year. And what else was I gonna say about this one? I think that's it. Yeah, this fight of the year. And I mean, I can't wait to see the rematch. Supposedly, people are making noise about Crawford cheating or something like that. So who knows what that's about? Um, and Mayweather losing a bunch of money over the fight, and now he's gonna be training Spence, or whatever. There's a bunch of drama going on in the background that I don't really care about too much. But I personally can't wait for the rematch, and to see what happens. And I really don't have a favorite, and I don't have, like, I'm not a fan of either of them, so I could see things objectively. I still see Crawford winning, um, but who knows? Who knows? Now this next one is gonna make some people mad, and I'm not gonna explain it because I got things to say, but I'm just gonna say it and run. Pound for pound king number one of the year, Naoya Inoue. And I mean, it's obvious. A lot of people's excuses for that is that who did he fought? Who did he fight? They're nobodies that people don't know. But the thing is, that's your problem. You see, because these smaller fighters are famous in the Asiatic regions. And if you know anything about the world, if you know anything about um, uh, what's going on around the world, I know you're just an American like myself, but the only difference is that I study, um, and I don't just talk. And there's more Asians than anything else in this planet. I mean, they make up the majority of the world. So, um, so the Filipinos, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, all of these guys, they have most of the little boxers come from there, and some parts of Mexico and South America as well. So, um, even though you may not know them because you're from here, right, from the U.S., from this side of the world, um, in those countries that I just mentioned, these fighters are well known, and these fights that happen are very popular. So it's kind of hard to make people understand that the world doesn't revolve around the U.S. anymore, and especially not in the boxing world. The U.S. is in a decline when it comes to boxing. Most of our fighters are hype jobs, even the ones we think that are the greatest. Um, and most of these other fighters from other countries are the ones making the fights. Our fighters only fight like maybe once or twice a year, and they want to get credit for that more than fighters that fight 4 times a year or 5 times a year. Well, 4 times is probably the max for now, um, but yeah, this year was a good year for boxing for lots of reasons. A lot of things that were in the darkness came to light. Um, a lot of things happened that I thought were gonna happen as well. Um, and listen, one of the things, I'm not gonna say exactly what I said, but it was this comment online where people said that nobody was gonna break this guy's record or that guy's record. And I commented on that thread, and I said, you know, um, you may not think that these records are going to be broken because you're living in the moment, and that's cool or whatever. But believe it or not, it is more possible for these records to be broken in the era of belts, because there's so many belts now, right? So of course it's gonna happen. So even Pacquiao's record is gonna be broken. Crawford's record is gonna be broken. All of those. And fast forward a couple of months later, at the end of the year, and here we are. So, um, so yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later.